Hi everyone, it's me and welcome to Canada. It's 9 a.m. and I am covered in sweat. I have a lot to talk about. I hope you're doing well. I can't do this in the sun, it is simply too hot. So let's go to the shade. All right everyone, how's that? Oh, let's take a breath. The beautiful Canadian countryside is never quiet. Hi everyone, it's me. If you're new here, my name's Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I live here. No, that is so muscle memory. That is not correct. Hi everyone, it's me. If you're new here, my name's Alanna and I'm a Canadian and I live in England. But this is Canada, and if you're not new here, hey, how's it going? You might recognize this. This is my filming spot whenever I'm back home in Canada. It is a beautiful 30 degrees, 9 a.m. Love it. I can't complain. I think England's going through another heat wave and we have aircon inside, so it's been genuinely wonderful. Besides the point, I've been in Canada now for about a week and I've been making a list of all the things that I miss in England and maybe things that don't always come up day to day or things I take for granted but I notice when I no longer have access to them. So that is the vibe for today's video. Hope you guys are well, and without further ado, let's go. Now these are in no particular order. I've just been like writing them down as they come up, and I would like to start with, let's call this one literally just walking. This is one of the most noticeable things, and I think it's something that I would really struggle with if I did move back to Canada. I'm here visiting family. Did I say that? I try to come home every year, like once a year, so usually like July, August, summertime-ish, so we can make use of the pool, which is behind you. But anyway, I'm still jet lagged. I've been here about a week. I should be over the jet lag. I am still jet lagged. What were we were talking about which one? Walking. This is something that if I did move back to Canada, I would really struggle with, and that is simply being able to walk anywhere. I know not all places in England are walkable. I did live in a small village that pretty much we needed a car, but currently I live in a town slash city slash veg in England, and I can walk everywhere. I can walk to the train station, I can walk to the supermarket, I can walk to loads of cafes and all sorts of activities and a million different bus routes. Like, it is so walkable I make use of it literally every day. When I come here to Ontario, I wouldn't say this is like country. We're kind of on the outside of a town, but I can't walk anywhere. I can't walk to a bus route. I can't walk to a train. I can't even walk into town. Like, it's just a bit too far. So you are completely reliant on having a car. And it never was a big deal when I was growing up in Canada because that's all I knew. Like, I was learning how to drive at 16. I got a car. Like, it was just, you had to. But now that I've seen what it's like when you live in a place that is walkable, truly wonderful. And if you're watching this as a British person and you live in a walkable town, honestly, do not take that for granted. It is wonderful. Next up, food quality and variety. Something I do a lot when I come back home to Canada is eat. And so honestly, a lot of these are food related. I have to imagine it's down to country size. Canada is absolutely massive. It's hard to comprehend just how big compared to England. And food needs to travel longer distances. I just find in England, can you hear the bugs? That's another thing. You don't really get that like cicada noise. At least not where I am in England. I find in England, I go to even just like a mid-range supermarket, the food quality is so good and there is such a variety. Here I find not so much. Again, maybe it's down to the supermarkets that we go to or whatever, but I do find the quality of food, it's noticeable. And I definitely think this is something that English people take for granted. The accessibility of really good food. Plus you have so many different supermarkets. I feel like in Canada it's really dependent on what supermarkets are closest to you, right? Because things are so spread out. So we have, I would say, two major supermarkets. We still have to drive, but there's like two options, like a higher end and a lower end. Back home in England, the land mass is so small, you can be close to tons of supermarkets and you're kind of like spoiled for choice. This is now my 11th trip back home to Canada. 11. Where has the time gone? And every year I hate packing for this trip. all 11 times. The sponsor of today's video, Exter, reached out and wanted to change that. For this trip, I've been using the Exter vacuum bag, and it has genuinely been so much fun. It comes with its own portable vacuum sealer with a centralized valve on the bag, which means there's no weird air pockets. I've never used like a vacuum sealed compression packing bag before, but now I'm never gonna go back. There's a side zipper, which makes loading and repacking super easy. Plus, with the frosted transparency, you can see what's in each bag. Whenever I come back to Canada on this like yearly back home Canada trip, it's almost like 3 weeks. I gotta pack a lot of stuff. I bring a lot of stuff, and with the compression bags, I can fit so much stuff. On this trip, I've also been using the Exter Wallet Pro, this gorgeous smart wallet. I hate having a bulky wallet, but this is genuinely so pretty. Plus, it holds up to 14 cards with a metal card trigger that pops them all up and comes with a lifetime warranty. And inside my new wallet is the Exter Finder card. Ta-da! It's an ultra slim tracking device that connects Apple Find My so you can find the exact location of the item. You could easily fit it inside like a bag or like a passport cover, but I really like it in the wallet. And I love the extra like peace of mind when traveling. I know that I'm not gonna lose this. If you want to give it a try, make sure you use my code NAPS20. You're gonna get 20% off at checkout on top of Exter's 10th anniversary sale. So that has up to 40% off site-wide, and that runs from July 16th to August 17th. If you want to make use of their sale, make sure you use my code NAPS20, link in the description. All right, back to my rant about food and supermarkets. I want this one to be called popping out to the shops. I unfortunately have gotten into the terrible habit that, especially when it comes to like dinner, and I'm like going to make dinner and I realize, oh, I forgot sour cream. I will just go to the store, walk to the store, and I'll get sour cream, and it's no big deal. In Canada, it is a drive to the supermarket. I am not going to drive to pick up sour cream, so I have to just make do or make a really specific list and pray to God I don't forget anything, because I'm only going to the supermarket once a week. If I forget something, that is just too bad. And unfortunately, I forget things often. Next up, old buildings everywhere. This one's kind of self-explanatory, but I'm gonna explain it anyway, and I hope you don't click away. There is casual history everywhere in England. I definitely think people take it for granted because it's literally just like casually everywhere. You've got Victorian homes, you've got Tudor buildings, you've got incredible cathedrals, even just like the churches. It doesn't have to be a crazy cathedral, even just a church. So much history, like historical pubs, wooden beams, plaques everywhere of like famous people who lived there or like famous events that took place there. There's streets that are older than Canada as a country. And just like casually everywhere in England, you don't have to like seek it out. It's just gonna be there if you look for it. It also adds so much like charm and personality that I feel the absence of it in Canada. Not to say Canada doesn't have its own charm and its own personality, but it's not there. It's not even close. So the next time you find yourself walking down the street and you spy a little blue plaque, read the plaque, learn a little bit. It's crazy how much history is just casually everywhere. Next up, the trains. I'm not a train spotter. I'm never gonna be a train spotter. If you like trains, that's cool. I love that for you. I like trains too, in a certain way, just not like that. British trains are expensive and sometimes unreliable, but they're there. Now, can I take the train everywhere in England? No. Some places are a little bit awkward to get to, but I could take the train one town over and like go shopping, go to a cinema, visit a friend, literally just one stop away in a small town. They have a train station. How wonderful. Here in Canada, the only time I ever use the train is to go into Toronto. So like the equivalent would be like only taking the train to get into London. Like that is the only time I use it in Canada, is to go to Toronto. We actually did go last week to a play. So drove to the station, 20+ minute drive on the highway to the train station, took the train into Toronto. It was great. Like it was flawless. We also have double-decker trains, so you can fit a lot of people. That's fun. Super smooth journey, got us into Toronto, then we could walk to the theater. We saw a play, it was great, took the train back. But you have to drive there. And I've never, like growing up, especially as a teenager, especially like when I didn't have a car or I was like learning to drive, I could never just like take the train one stop to a small town, like to see somebody or to go do something. It's just, the trains aren't there. Canada has loads of like cargo trains and like that kind of stuff, obviously, to transport stuff across a giant country. But the idea of just hopping on the train for 8 minutes to get to the coast, to get to a new town, to get to see a friend, like that is just, it's not happening. It simply doesn't exist. And with that, something that I notice quite a bit is the scale of travel. In England, 2 hours of travel can get you into a completely new area of the country, a new castle, a coastline, a new county, a new accent. It's like a really fast holiday because you're already in like almost a different part of a country. It is a part of a country. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're in another country and it's only taking you 2 hours. In Canada, in 2 hours, you're not really getting that far. If we want to do something here outside of our sort of region, we really have to travel. And you have to drive, right? We're not taking the train, you have to drive. Growing up, this never bothered me because this was all that I knew. Like, you just have to do it. But now that I've lived in England for over 10 years, I have gotten so used to how fast it is to get to places. You know, if I want to get to a completely different part of the country, I can take the train and I can take the train just for an hour or two and I'm in a completely different area with totally like its own vibe, its own personality, all sorts of new fun stuff, and it's not far away at all. It's definitely something that comes up here, you know, when we're gonna go do something and say, oh, we're gonna go here. It's only a 3-hour drive and we'll be there for an hour and then we gotta drive back. You know what I mean? Like before it would not faze me at all, but now I find that really difficult. I guess I've just lost my patience. So there's that. Moving along, how you guys doing? Is it pretty hot? I know England's pretty hot. It is hot here. All right, something that, okay, this one came up this morning, don't laugh. Plugs. In Canada and America, we've got the same plug system. It's like 2 flat prongs. I think Europe, you have like 2 like cylinder kind of prongs. In Canada, America, maybe even Mexico, I'm not sure, you've got the like 2 flat upright prongs like that. And this morning I went to plug one in and one of the prongs was like bent outwards because they're not really strong, so I had to like bend it back in to get it into the wall. And then because we have this like fairly heavy like power adapter thing on the wall, I plugged it in and then later it fell out of the wall, which would never happen in England. I don't want to be that person talking about plugs, but can I just say, we will never talk about this again. I will never mention that I spoke about this. The plugs in the UK are much better. You've got that 3rd prong on the British plugs. Nothing is ever falling out of the wall, ever. I don't even think British people even conceptualize that as a thing that can happen. Because it happened to me and it happened this morning and it's stupid. There's a bird over there that's really going to town. I don't know if you can hear him. I don't know if that's coming up on the microphone. Anyway, another thing another thing I miss about England when I'm here in Canada, and quite simply my routine. I guess it's the same anytime like you go on holiday, like a lengthy holiday, right? And it starts to weigh in like, I miss my bed, I miss my pillows, I miss having my dedicated workspace desk kind of off to the side, quiet. I miss my morning coffee and my milk. Okay, put a pin in that. We will come back to that. I miss being able to walk places and hop on the train and see my friends. You do miss, like, as much as I love the holiday aspect, on any holiday it gets to a point where it's like, I just miss my boring routine back home. I miss my crazy fast internet speed. I miss my gym. I miss my Tesco's finest salt and vinegar crisps. I miss getting a coffee and walking around town and then going back to my desk and editing a video. You know, you do miss the routine. So I am very privileged that I can be here so long because YouTube is my job and I can only do that because of you. So genuinely thank you so much. Anytime you watch one of my videos, anytime you purchase something through a sponsorship that I do, for all the people who are on Patreon or YouTube memberships, like all of that makes this possible. And genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I'm genuinely just so grateful to be here, to have time with my family, to be here long enough to miss my stuff back in England. You know, it is like, it's just wonderful. It's a huge privilege and I'm very grateful. So thank you very much for listening to me complain about plugs. Anyway, I do miss my routine. I miss my life. I did say we need to talk about milk because I did not think this would be one, but it is one and it drives me crazy. Back in England, I typically drink full fat milk. I don't really drink it like in a glass. I don't really have cereal. It's pretty much only exclusively used in my morning coffee or if like I make an iced coffee, but I use full fat milk. A+, no notes, genuinely delicious. And I did a little bit of research on this. I gave it a Bing because this drove me crazy. So UK whole milk is usually 3.5% fat or more. That's just what I'm used to. I definitely take it for granted because here in Canada, it is very different. In Canada, a lot of the milk is done like by percentages rather than a name. So like my family buys 1% milk, which is like a partly skimmed milk. I struggle with it now. It's crazy. It's not something that I ever thought of, but I'm thinking about it now. That's what I grew up with. That was what milk tastes like, right? 1%. So I did a bit of a Google, and apparently the closest thing to my English whole milk that I'm used to is what Canadians called homo milk. Great name. But it's homogenized milk, which is 3.25% milk fat. So it is less than the English stuff, but it's close. But even still, I think we tried that last year. I still notice a difference, and I would say not many Canadians buy the homo milk. I think it's more like the 1% is quite popular. There's also 2% or fully skimmed, which obviously is like no fat. But it's something that I definitely took for granted. The creaminess and the richness of whole milk in England, even I would say like the I think it's the green tab. What's the one that's like partly skimmed in England? It just tastes different. Here I find the milk to be much more watery. I don't know why, other than the milk fat, obviously, which I Googled, but it just tastes different. Thank you for listening to my rant about milk fat. Moving along, another thing that I wrote down that came up, I want to call this sweet, I guess. A lot of Canadian food, like American food, is just sweeter by nature. Okay, not by nature because it's added sweetness. The North American palate tends to skew a bit to the sweeter side, not like crazy sweet. I think America is much worse at that than Canada. Worse that... It's getting hot. Let me try that again. If we're talking about sweetness, America's up here, right? Typically very, very sweet. Canada is like similar, but not as bad. And the UK is down here. And I eat a lot when I'm here and I notice it. All I want to do when I come home is lay by the pool, eat, nap, read my book, hang out, and I notice the food. So here, things are sweeter, even things that shouldn't be that sweet. Like we make pizzas, make homemade pizzas on the barbecue, love it. Summertime, eating outside, wonderful. The pepperonis here are all so much sweeter than what we would get like at Tesco. I don't want my pepperonis to be sweet. Another thing that came up, Coke Zero. I'm a Coke Zero girly. I love Coke Zero. Coke Zero in Canada is sweeter than the Coke Zero in England. Why? We don't need to do that. So there's things like that where obviously the food that is sweet is sweeter, but also the savory food is also sweeter. I would prefer not. I've always been a savory person than a sweet. I don't want that sweetness in my savory stuff, but it is noticeable. But it is kind of crazy how I haven't lived in Canada since 2015. When you just kind of think about that, I don't know how I feel about that. Unless you've been an immigrant somewhere, it's really hard to explain, but coming home is kind of like a time capsule. Everything kind of looks the same as it did the last time I came, but it's not the same. I'm not the same, the place isn't the same. It's very strange. It's almost like a Black Mirror Twilight Zone kind of thing. And noticing certain things that I grew up with that I had no issue with, but when you see how other people do it, you go, oh, actually, I like the other way of doing that thing. It's very strange. But I'm very grateful to be here. I've had a wonderful time so far. I'm not sick, knock on wood, if you've been around for a long time. Literally every time I'd go home to Canada, I would get sick. Probably since like the COVID vibes where we were like in lockdown, anytime I went anywhere after that, I was getting sick. But I haven't been sick yet, so I'm very grateful. Haven't gotten a sunburn yet, which I'm very grateful. I'm gonna do a bit of editing on this video, and then I'm gonna have some Tostitos. I'm gonna sit in the sun. I'm gonna read my book, hang out with my family, and have a wonderful time. And thank you for making that possible. All right, no more talking. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a great time. Hope you're surviving any heat waves where you are. It is pretty sweaty here. If you want to watch something else, how about this one? How fitness in the UK is different. I do miss my gym, I'll tell you that. Normally I go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm starting to really miss that right about now. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget extra in the video description. Use my code NAPS20. Get yourself a discount. Get yourself something fun. Maybe if you're traveling this summer and you want some compression packing cubes, I love them. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, bye!